this video, I want to talk about 5 figures that I'd like to see in the line. This figure was just recently revealed, the Quinlan Voss, and this is technically Clone Wars, I think, but I'm going to count it as Star Wars Republic. So the first one, I'd love to see a new Attack of the Clones Anakin on the brand new Anakin body. All they would need to do is add a new head and a new right arm. And then I'd love to see his speeder that he rides to go find the Tusken Raiders. I think that would be a perfect way to reintroduce that look for Anakin in the line. You could add his robe, and you can give a lightsaber with some effects, and even maybe an angry head, like he's slaughtering the Tuskens. And it would be a perfect way to put a smaller vehicle in the line. So that is a figure I'd really like to see. Another one, I'd like to see a 2-pack of Dirge and Asajj Ventress from Star Wars Republic. Because like I said, we just got Quinlan Voss, so I'd love to see more characters that appear in the Star Wars Republic comics, because I like that version of the Clone Wars a lot better than the Cartoon Network show, because it gets real dark and gritty, and I think it's just a more serious take on a more serious timeline in Star Wars. So I'd love to see these looks for these characters. I really messed that up, but yeah, Dirge is just real cool because, you know, his arms can regrow and his whole body can regrow, and he's just a cool species with cool armor and a cool backstory. And the same thing with Asajj Ventress. I prefer her in the grays and blacks rather than the purples and all those colors from the Clone Wars. So this is something I'd really like to see. And then Maz Amedda. So we just recently got Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine, and I display him on the Emperor throne, and I would just love to have Maz Amedda standing next to him. I think that would just add so much to that figure that is not the best figure, but I think if he had this character, which is kind of just an accessory, if I'm being honest, I'd love to see it. And then, of course, we need the legend, Bail Organa. Can we please get Bail Organa already? He's such an important character in the whole, you know, Star Wars saga. So I'd really like to see this character in the line. And then, of course, we need Viceroy Nute Gunray. And for this one, I'd like to see the Mechno chair. So Nute Gunray is kind of a controversial character, somewhat, but I'd like to see a deluxe version that has the figure itself with the Mechno chair and a removable hologram Palpatine or Darth Sidious. I think that would be really cool because you could set him on the Mechno chair. And if you are interested in like the old Legends or the old Expanded Universe or whatever you want to call it, The Labyrinth of Evil, that book by James Luceno, this Mechno chair is pretty much the whole, like, the MacGuffin of that book. So even though it's a silly looking chair, it holds a lot of weight in kind of like a mystery. I don't know how to explain properly, but I think it would just be a fine addition to the Black Series. Since we're getting all these vignettes and dioramas and all that, I think this would be a perfect way to put Nute Gunray in the line. And just there's another look of him sitting in the chair, because it would have multiple purposes. You can have him sitting in it, or you can have Palpatine coming up on the hologram. And you can see in the back, I think there's a back part. So I don't know if it's like separate than this one, or maybe like you could take the top piece off. So maybe this isn't that realistic, but I'd like to see the Mechno chair in some capacity. And that's really all I have to say about that. I'd love to see all of the figures that I talked about today. And I think the possibility it's pretty high. I'm not saying recent or like soon, but I can see it happening down the line, especially with all the niche characters like Turgle and Quinlan Voss, who doesn't really show up that often in the new canon timeline. So all I can do is hope.